You're listening to the We Are Libertarians podcast network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com. You're listening to the We Are Libertarians network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast on the We Are Libertarians Network. I am your host, Jeremiah Morrell, and as always, I'm joined by our co-host, Dakota Davis, on my left.
Over here.
And a returning co-host on my right, Mr. Chase Peyton.
What up?
Everybody. Our show is about our lives in rural Indiana. It's a show about folks who are involved in politics. We have promised that our episodes are going to be a fun and an easy listen. We interview people who are influencers, elected officials, and political experts, and folks that we just find interesting.
Yeah, we have sports in this one, and you did it to me again to where you made me research sports.
You're welcome.
Even though you know that I hate it.
Well, life's about compromise, my friend.
Yeah, I had to learn who John Fox was.
It's the playoffs.
Yeah, that makes no difference to me.
It's okay. We'll let you go to sleep for this part, and,
I do think it's
Chase and I will talk about it.
I will say that I do think it's kind of cool that the Buffalo Bills are actually in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And it was the first time since 1999.
Do you know what happened in that game?
No, I have no idea. But I just think it's pretty neat that they made it there. First time in 19 years.
Yeah, they played in Nashville, Tennessee in 1999. And do you remember what happened? Do you know what this one is? The Music City Miracle?
I was like 4. I've heard stories.
Oh, my God. I was in high school. So the Bills had been a dynasty, and this was like the end of their time. And they were on the road. They went to the Titans, and they had the lead or they were tied. And Frank Wycheck, the tight end on special teams, threw a ball. This is right at the beginning of instant replay, or maybe it didn't exist yet. Threw it all the way across the field on a kick return. Okay, so he has the ball, throws it across the field, and it either went forward just slightly, or as it was ruled on the field, it was a true lateral, and they ran it back for a touchdown, and the Titans won the game. They advanced there, and they made the Super Bowl and lost to the Rams.
Didn't they go to like 4 Super Bowls in a row and lose all of them?
They did go to 4, and they should have won. Poor Donnie is freaking out already, but they should have won the first one. Mm-hmm. Their kicker Scott Norwood missed the first one, and they lost to the Giants, and then they lost to the Redskins, and then they lost to the Cowboys, and then they lost to the Cowboys again. So basically, the NFC East had their number.
Yeah,
you holding in okay, Dakota?
I think I'm doing all right. I'm trying to conduct business over here.
You're over here selling. You're getting involved. Cade Coger's wife is started some sort of a pyramid scheme with Spark, and Dakota is egging it on, trying to get free samples.
Oh no, I actually love this stuff. I was telling you guys before we started the show that I used to go to the gym with a guy that would give me free samples all the time.
Yeah,
and then he switched gyms.
He left gyms. I still think you would have done better if you had simply gone ahead and joined the gym he went to.
So I'm just excited now. Like, this can't wait because I'm excited because I finally have a connection again.
There you go. So tonight's show, we're going to cover a number of different topics. We're going to talk a little bit about our trip to Chicago. Dakota and I went with our ladies.
Yeah, we had a huge meeting.
Huge meeting.
How was the Trump Tower?
Well, we're going to get there.
Okay.
I want to give people a clue as to what they're going to be in for, because sometimes people just are here on blind faith, and I want to give them a little preview, and we're going to get into it.
All right.
But we did visit Trump Tower. So that we went to Chicago, and you went to Chicago too. We're going to talk about that separately, and then we're going to get into the playoffs a little bit because the Bills only make the playoffs. You were 4 years old last time they made it, so we're going to cover that, and then we're going to talk about the Indiana GOP. We had Senator Kreider on last week, and we're going to talk about what the GOP Senate has rolled in. The Democrats don't even show up. There's so many people in the Senate. There's 50 people, and about 35 of them are Republicans. So the Democrats, whether they show up or not, they don't have to be there to conduct business. And then we're going to talk about the state of the state. Governor Holcomb gave an address on Tuesday talking about that, and we'll see where it goes from there. But those are the main topics we're going to try to cover.
Absolutely.
So Dakota, we got to drive up to Chicago on Friday. We took a vacation day.
You drove up to Chicago on Friday. I didn't do any driving myself.
No.
But yes, we went up to Chicago on Friday.
And it was the lovely Audrey Joe.
We made great time.
We did make incredible time.
We made great time on the nation's best, the very best
highways.
Did you guys make it past the wind farms okay?
We had to pull over. I started having a brain aneurysm. It was horrible. We stopped at a gas station, and I tried to drink some water. The groundwater was poisoned. I saw dead livestock everywhere, like 3 dead bald eagles.
All of the property was for sale. The values had dropped too much.
While we were driving down the road, there were large sheets of ice that were being flung off of the blades, and we had to dodge them. It was like playing Frogger.
I thought one of them was burning. It was just like it flamed out, and it was just a torch.
It was horrible.
A beacon of sadness for White County, or for whatever county it is up there.
They were just so bad. I can't even imagine. I understand the fight now.
Good God. If only we had gifts as a way to express our disappointment, then maybe we could win people over.
Yes. That's why we need gifts.
We need gifts.
Citizens of Henry County.
We have the Boss Hog Liberty crew has single-handedly picked up the torch for freedom, and we've nearly gotten ourselves entirely banned out of Citizens of Henry County because we want gifts to be allowed because they're modern-day free speech.
I'll have to post the picture to the page, but there was like a post in there by one of the admins that said, follow the rules. It's just that simple. Like it started out, listen up in all caps, right?
Yeah,
as is the usual. And I said, I was the first person to comment and said, the people want gifts, right?
and I equated you to Patrick Henry to give me liberty, give me gifts.
Yes.
Give me gifts or give me death.
Give me gifts or give me death.
Dakota Davis said.
So then I, real quickly on my phone, photoshopped a picture of my face onto Patrick Henry's body in front of the legislature, whenever he was holding up the newspaper and yelling, give me liberty or give me death. And that was...
It was deleted within 40 seconds.
Yeah, very promptly deleted. Jeremiah was convinced that I was going to be banned from the group.
Yep, it was going to cost you.
No, but I got a connection with the admins. It's okay. Her name is Grandma.
Yeah, you were told you used to be such a nice boy.
Yeah, that's what she said.
And I said he spent too much time in Ancapistan, and here this is what you get now.
She said I was very polite, but
yeah, well, you're just a big screw up now.
Yeah.
So we went to Chicago to celebrate the 22nd birthday of young Dakota Davis and the 21st birthday of Audrey Joe P.V. Davis.
And your engagement.
And my engagement. Well, it's not about me, but it was about Sarah. So, yeah. So we went to Chicago, did a bunch of bar hopping, had some fun. It was the coldest weekend. What's better than Chicago in January? Wind coming off the lake. The lake was frozen.
And
the river was frozen.
The river was frozen.
It was crazy.
I had friends down from Florida that week. They didn't know what to do. They were freezing. They didn't dress appropriately.
Well, I remember whenever you had lived down there for a while, and you would come up here during the winter, and you were always freaking out around Christmas time. Like,
it's hard for your body to get used to temperatures like that.
Yeah, I can see that because yesterday it was what 55 degrees outside, and we went
75 degrees warmer than normal.
Yeah. We went out to the Elks, and it was like, I don't even know what to wear. Like,
you wear shorts if you're a true Hoosier. Yeah. I was born in Messina, New York. It's like the 45th parallel. It's halfway between the equator and the North Pole. Okay, we're on the same line as Minneapolis and Green Bay up there.
Oh, wow.
So coming down here and, being here since I was about 10, it's just, this is easy. It's not that bad. I don't suffer through it like everybody else does. 45th parallel, we're halfway. So we went up to Chicago, walked most of the city, and we walked across the bridge. We kind of stayed in the Loop area, if people know downtown Chicago, and we were walking to River North. And there's a big iconic building that has I think there might be 2 of them there that are like a circle and a parking garage on the bottom. It's featured in Ferris Bueller's Day Off and a bunch of other movies.
Yeah, the House of Blues is right there.
That's it. The House of Blues is there, and we were like, okay, we got to find somewhere to eat. And we were already cold. We had walked about 2 blocks. Yeah. And we're like, anything in here.
Yeah,
anything in here is going to work.
That first night, I hadn't really even prepared for like how cold it was going to be.
Yeah.
Or, I think I knew how cold it was going to be. I just didn't realize like how bad the wind was. And
the Windy City and all.
Yeah, and it was like we walked 2 blocks and it was like, all right, time for the first stop.
Yeah, so we went in there. It was cool. They had the blues awesome. Music going. Had barbecue. It was a good time.
I saw all white waitresses though, and there were like a lot of African themed things on the walls, and I was very concerned So I had to call our token black friend, Harry Price, and say, is this cultural appropriation?
Yeah, we took a lot of pictures and sent them over going, is this okay? Should we be offended? Do we have to leave? And he said we were recovered.
Yeah, he said we're okay.
You got the all clear?
Yeah, we got the A-okay. So
after that, we could enjoy our meal.
Yeah, then we were fine. And then, man, we ran all over the place. We went to some place called Froggy's 22 or something, or the Local 22.
Yeah, that place is really nice.
I saw you guys went to Rebar. Was it like the one in Nashville?
So that was the thing, is we had looked, when we got down there, I opened up Google Maps or whatever and just looked at restaurants, and I could see near Trump Tower, and it turns out it was the bar in Trump Tower, was a place called Rebar. And I'm like, man, we went to Nashville for the bachelor party, and Rebar was grungy. I'm like, where in the hell is this in this neighborhood?
Yeah.
So,
and we found out it was the bar that's in Trump Tower.
Yeah, it is the official bar.
So we were how are they going to put that in Trump Tower? You know, like a 5-star hotel in downtown Chicago. How are you going to put a grunge metal bar in Trump Tower that is literally made out of just raw rebar material?
Yeah, and it turns out that it's named rebar after the number one material that was used in the construction of Trump Tower. Fabricated reinforcing steel, trademarked by us. If you need rebar, call me. Anyway, so we went to the
Trump did.
Yeah, Trump. Yeah, the company that I worked for supplied the rebar for that. So we can build that thing. We can build anything. Hit me up on the DMs. So the so we go in, and there's Audrey's like, oh my God, we're underdressed for this thing. I'm like, they'll take our money. It's fine. They seated us. How many people do you want? What room are you in? And Sarah starts rattling off a room number, and they said, what's your number? And Sarah starts giving a 317 something. I'm like, I thought she was just making up a number, and she was giving her phone number. I guess she was trying to pick up the bartender. I don't know.
No, but it was actually really cool in there. Like, they had their own signature cocktails and stuff.
It was all handcrafted. Yep. Incredible view. The greatest view.
They brought you out, like, popcorn and sriracha almonds.
Yep.
And I had, like, a really good gin drink. And whenever he brought them out, he explained everything that was in them. Mine had like a piece of candy that was inside of it, and then at the very end, he took all of our pictures. Yeah,
he did. So yeah, it was a great time there. It was well worth it. It's probably the swankiest bar I've been to. If it wasn't the fanciest, it was right up there. About $20 a cocktail, but and maybe $10 or $15 for a beer.
And then Audrey and I,
that's not too bad.
Audrey and I, the second day went to the Mixology Lounge, and I'd watched a documentary on brisket and Marysville. But I had watched a documentary on mixologists and like their craft and everything, and I was like, okay, this is going to be really neat. And we went in there, and it was the stupidest thing that I've ever done in my life. Like, it was...
You can do hoity-toity well and hoity-toity not well.
Yeah.
And you experience both.
Yeah, it was the dumbest thing I've ever been in. Like, just so stupid. I'm up on the wall in like giant 3-foot letters with lights behind it. There was a guy walks into a bar, ... And I was like, oh, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
And it ended up being a little over $50. And Audrey and I had a gin and tonic, and she had one of their signature cocktails.
That's it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was ours was like $40 or $50. Same kind of deal. Sarah had a signature drink, and I had a local raspberry beer or something. Some Michigan beer.
What a girl.
I like the fruity stuff, Chase. I'm secure. I'm okay. Actually, Dakota, they came out with the drinks, and I accused Dakota of ordering a girly drink, and they tried to give it to Sarah, and I said, well, that's what you get for ordering a girly drink, and the guy kind of took offense, and then he just dug right into everything that was in Dakota's drink, and it was handcrafted and all this amazing stuff.
It had 2 different kinds of gin in it. One of them was
something was infused.
One of the gins was aged and infused with coffee beans, and then they put syrup in it. It was so good.
It was a candied molasses, and then it had an ice cube that was like this stone-looking formed thing.
Ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool.
It was the greatest. So
it sounds delicious.
That was Rebar. It's well worth the stop in there. If you if you go down there to the River North or the Loop or whatever, definitely stop in. And then we went to another. I don't remember the name of the final bar we stopped at.
I don't either, but that one was my favorite.
Yeah, I'd have to go back, and if you follow myself or Dakota, you'll see we checked in at all these places.
They had literally like over 100 beers on tap.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I walked in there and started looking at the menu. I'm an IPA guy. And I'd read on like a beer forum about this beer called Hercules, and it's like a triple IPA.
Mm-hmm.
And we went in there, looked at the menu, and I saw that they had the Hercules, and I was like just super pumped from that point on. And they served it in like a chalice, and it has 10% alcohol. It was intense, but it was incredible. It was so good. It was well worth it.
So we went there. The next day, we kind of did our own thing. We went and saw the Bean, and we went and checked out a place called the Game Room, I guess it was.
Yep, we played bocce ball.
Which was cool.
What was that like?
It was amazing. I had a great time. The girls weren't, I don't know if they weren't feeling it yet or if they were just hanging out or doing their own thing, but Dakota and I, we abandoned them. We felt like they would be okay on their own.
Yep.
And Donnie Moore wants to know if we're done with the Bills. We're not done with the Bills. We're going to get to it. Just hang with us. We're covering the Chicago trip. We do things for content, and damn it, we're going to talk about it, Donnie. No, we went to the Game Room, and it's like the Chicago Athletic Club. It's like at second or third floor, so you kind of don't know where you're going.
Yeah,
you had the address,
no
but you had to like wander through the building looking for this thing. And it felt like a student union at a school. They had a really nice bar, dark oak wood, and lots of air hockey, like air tables and shuffleboard or whatever. And they had pool tables, and then they had a bocce ball table.
Yeah,
and that was really like a bocce ball field, probably 40 yards long or whatever. So Dakota had never played before. I'd have only played like outside the bocce ball in the yard. I'd never played on an official like scoring table.
What
or
is
whatever.
bocce ball?
You have a little small marker ball, and you stand on one side of a course.
Basically,
you throw
it's a game invented by cavemen. Where one of them would throw a rock, and then the other guys try to throw their rock closer to that rock.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like curling without ice.
Okay, I know
where
what
you're trying to get the closest to it,
on, like,
and you're trying to score.
In Florida and like on the boat, cruises and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's bocce ball, not shuffleboard, but bocce ball.
Okay.
So we played that for a while. I kind of threw the game and let Dakota win at the end, I guess is the best way to put it, because there were people waiting for the course, and I just kind of didn't care anymore. I kicked his ass until he learned what he was doing. As soon as he figured out the game, I said, well, we're done.
You should have played darts with him.
Oh, man, he's
bad at darts.
I know.
He wanted me to, and I refused.
I tried to get him to play darts at the local Frog 22 or whatever it was.
I even have a dartboard in my house.
Yeah. Maybe we'll play after. Never know.
I only have 3 darts.
So, and then we kind of went our separate ways after that. We had Sarah and I bought tickets to Second City. Do you know what Second City is?
No.
Okay, so Second City is like this club in Chicago that it's like an improv. So like Steve Carell, Tina Fey,
Stephen Colbert,
Chris Farley, Dan Aykroyd, all of these legendary people in comedy. Most of them went up on Saturday Night Live. Mm-hmm. They all came through this place. So it is unreal. So you go, and it's like watching SNL live in front of you, live action. And we'd bought our tickets. We just bought regular general admission tickets, but we showed up like 45 minutes before, so right as the door's opening. I swear to God, Chase, they sat us on the stage. Like where my knees are to where the recorder is, 2 feet in front of me, that was the stage. It was unreal. Amazing time.
Cool. Yep. Plus, you never know who you're going to see there.
Exactly.
And they could be on SNL in 5 years.
Oh, yeah. These people will have a future. They'll be a big deal. So it was like 2.5 hours. It was great. So I definitely recommend that if anybody goes to Chicago. And we love comedy. Sarah and I love going to comedy stuff anyway. We kind of met in a comedy club, so it's always been a cool thing for us. And then the Davises celebrating their birthdays. You guys went to y'all got some Roscoe's fried chicken?
Yeah, no, not Roscoe's. Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. No, different place. We went to a place called Gus's World Famous Fried Chicken. I have never heard about it. Audrey never had. And it's basically like a little hole in the wall in apparently what used to be a horrible side of Chicago. Because like our Uber driver, whenever he picked us up from there, was like, do you guys feel safe standing outside?
He's worried about your safety.
Yeah, we were like, yeah, why? And he's like, man, back in the 90s, you never would have stood outside alone. And I was like, oh.
I'm not alone. I brought my wife.
Yeah. But it was the best meal that we had while we were there. Absolutely. It was 2 things. The best meal we had while we were in Chicago and the best fried chicken I've ever had in my life. And it was, it was that good. It was just flat out amazing.
It was called Roscoe's?
No, it was called Gus's.
Roscoe's is in California.
Roscoe's is also in Atlanta.
Are they?
Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a horrible commercial for it that you can watch sometime. That's literally the theme song. Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles.
All right. So, that was our trip to Chicago. You recently took one as well. We're going to pivot into the NFL a little bit, Chase.
Christmas Eve.
You're here on the sports desk. So you went and watched your Bears. You're a bigger Bears fan.
Go Bears.
Super Bowl XLI, man.
The Bears.
I
don't remember that.
Yeah.
I was 11.
You don't remember the first play?
I was just getting into sports. The only play I remember is the opening kickoff.
Yeah.
Devin Hester ran it back for a touchdown. Bears won. That's how I remember it.
That's the way it went down.
Bears won.
Yep, that's yeah. Your last Super Bowl trophy was 2 years when I was 2 years old, 1985. So you got to go. You saw your team play. It was in the snow.
It was beautiful.
You're at the new Soldier Field where the spaceship landed on top of Soldier Field.
It was absolutely freezing. My little cousin was there, and he's like 6 or 7. So I didn't know.
Is this Mr. Harmon?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jacob's
dad.
Did they win?
Jacob's dad.
Did the Bears win?
The Bears won, thank God. If we would have lost to the Browns, that's just embarrassing. It doesn't get any worse than that.
See, you saw Bears-Browns. The Browns, their coach has won one game in 2 years.
Yes.
He's a 2.5% winning percentage. Hugh Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
He kept his job, and John Fox got fired.
I'm Hugh Jackson.
The Bears have a higher standard. So.
I guess.
Yeah, it was freezing. There was snow.
Had you planned it all year? Did you oh my God, we're going to go see Bears, Browns, or they're going to win, and we're going to make the playoffs?
We had it
and we're
planned
on the way to the Super Bowl.
In the summertime, right before the season started and everything. And my uncle even went and bought the tickets early because he thought it'd be packed. And I was like, it's the Browns. No one's going to be there. We're going to be able to walk right up to the field. But it was honestly, there was a lot more people there than I thought there would be. Especially with how cold it was, the snow, you're freezing.
Have you been to other NFL games?
I have. I've seen the Bears play the Colts last year.
In Indy?
I guess 2 years ago now, in Indy. That was cool. We lost that game. Barely.
Yeah. I was at the very first game in Lucas Oil Stadium. The Colts hosted the Bears. Mm-hmm. And the Bears beat us in that game. That was a year after we had won the Super Bowl. We beat the Saints in the game right after we won the Super Bowl, and then the next year we opened up the new stadium, and the Bears beat us at home and ruined the party.
Yeah, I've seen them play in Tampa, and that game was just ridiculously hot. See, I saw them play the hottest game of the year and the coldest game of the year.
Yeah,
so it was cool.
Yeah, 2 years ago, cousin Donnie, who's watching us in the live chat, and Brian Morrell and a bunch of the Morrells, we got together. The Colts opened the season in Buffalo 2 or 3 years ago now, I guess. And the Colts got their asses kicked. Opening day of the year, it was September, and it was raining and cold in Buffalo. I was like, this is ridiculous. I was so happy. We were like, no matter what happens this year, we're going to go see the Colts in Buffalo.
Yeah.
And they opened up the season in Buffalo. I'm like, that's going to be the best weather ever. We're going to be fine. It's not going to suck. And, Brian Morrell's letting us know that he did see that game. He was there with us. It was terrible. It was those Bills fans. They were loud and obnoxious.
Oh, I bet. I hear their fans are crazy.
They are good. They are really, really good. Dakota, your computer is doing something terrible over here. It wants to update. Every time we do a show, Dakota's laptop wants to do an update in the middle of the show.
I said that on the last episode.
We're going to remind me tomorrow. We're going to click that for you.
I probably won't get on here tomorrow.
So the Bills won a spot in the playoffs, the AFC wild card. They were the 6th seed because the Bengals, I guess, Andy Dalton threw a touchdown pass at the end of the game against the Ravens.
And they were all watching and everything. It was exciting. I liked seeing it. And I'm not even a Bills fan, but I was pulling for them.
Yeah, and then the cool thing was all of the Bills fans, they really do have a great fan base. They gave $7 or $17
It was
or whatever.
$17 because that's how many seasons it had been.
Oh, it had been 17 since they had made the playoffs. So all of them gave $17 to Andy Dalton's charity, who was the quarterback for the Bengals. So they raised a couple $100,000, which is phenomenal. And I swear to God, if the Bills had an offense, they would be playing the Steelers right now. But instead, the Jags are going to go to see the Steelers. But, it was, it was cool to see the Bills in the playoffs.
It was.
So if they can get a quarterback and keep their running back, maybe they'll have a chance in the future. The chat here, Donnie Morrell is desperate for Kirk Cousins or Alex Smith to be a quarterback. Tons of draft picks, 2018 to look out.
There are a lot of quarterbacks coming out this year.
There's a lot of quarterbacks coming, and the New England Patriots. Dakota, are you hanging on okay? Are you all right?
No, not at all.
It's hurting. He's got this glare in his face of just pain.
Have my eyes glossed over?
Yeah, it's okay. We'll handle this part.
I feel like I'm giving you guys the same look as I give people giving presentations at work.
The men are talking. Just sit there, okay? So the Patriots have dominated the AFC East for since Drew Bledsoe was a man.
I can remember.
And they're possibly having some strife. There's a huge article that came out in ESPN, and so maybe the Patriots are going to fall apart, and it's going to give the opportunity to the Bills.
I heard that Bill Belichick might go to the Giants.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen. It'd be cool.
It could all
fall
apart. Bill could go to the Giants. The defensive coordinator could take the Cardinals job, and it sounds like the Colts maybe they're looking for a new head coach.
They're going to win like 3 more Super Bowls at least.
Tom Brady's going to win a Super Bowl at 46. What about the hot dog incident? Donnie Morrell's telling me about a hot dog incident, and I must have been drunk. I have no idea. I don't know.
Okay.
It says, "Oh my God, it's the best story ever."
Jeremiah knows what it is.
I don't know.
He just doesn't want to tell anyone.
I really don't know.
That's got to be.
Oh, I do know. Okay, yeah, my brother gets himself in trouble. Danny, the co-host. I don't remember the exact specifics, but there was a lady that came over to us. We were tailgating after the game, and she came over to our tailgate, walked in the middle of it, and demanded a hot dog. And,
did you give her one?
I think they did give her a raw hot dog, but I don't. Now that I look back at it,
a raw hot dog? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, Danny, let him call in. Your brother with the hot dog. Danny got slapped by a drunk chick.
Ooh.
I think he told her to leave. He did something. Somehow Danny wasn't a gentleman and upset a drunk girl, and he got himself slapped over a hot dog.
I bet that's not the first time. Nah, just kidding. Danny's a gentleman.
She asked where you were from. Yeah, I do not know the specifics of this, Donnie. Well, we're going to have Danny talk about it the next time he comes on.
It sounds like we're going to have Donnie come on and talk about it.
Donnie, if you come up for the wedding,
Boom.
we're gonna record a special episode for you. Oh, that's it. The girl asked where Danny was from. He said Indianapolis, and she slapped him in the face. That's the Bills Mafia for you.
Interesting.
Donnie says he'll be on the show. All right, we've negotiated that. Colts need a new head coach.
Yes.
They interviewed some dude from Baylor who won 1 game last year, but he was good at Wake Forest.
I don't know anyone. Who have they interviewed so far?
They've interviewed Matt Nagy, who said he didn't want the Colts job and he took the Bears job.
Because the Colts suck.
They've interviewed, I think they interviewed, Dakota, your dog is going apeshit in the other room. Let's see. They've interviewed, I'm trying to remember who else. I think the defensive coordinator for the
Patriots, maybe?
No. They've interviewed the offense coordinator for Patriots, McDaniel, who they think is going to be the lead. And then they interviewed the defense coordinator for the Seahawks, who I think was like the guy that put together the Legion of Boom back in the day.
That'd be a good one.
Yeah. But, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. Everybody thought it was going to be the special teams coordinator for the Chiefs. But
I thought it was going to be Matt Nagy.
Yeah. I didn't know very much about him.
I don't know.
But he just took over. What I heard is he just took over the
last 3 or 4 games.
Yeah, the last few games as offensive coordinator. He took the play calling duties over for Andy Reid. So there's no telling. It's all a crapshoot. You never know how anybody's going to do. But the important thing is that the Bills did make the playoffs.
That's
First
true.
time since 1999. As I was a pimply freshman in high school or a sophomore in high school.
I was still pooping myself. Well, probably not. I was 4. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, you wouldn't do that again until college.
That's true.
Yeah, so basically the playoffs, we're going to come down to the Steelers and Patriots are going to make the AFC Championship game.
I don't think so. I think the Jags are going to pull an upset.
You think so?
They beat them like 30-something to 9 in the season, and the odds of that happening again are low.
Blake Bortles and Leonard Fournette.
But I like to think the Jags can pull it out. You know, I've lived on and off in Florida for the last few years.
Oh, you got the Florida bias is what's happening up there in your head.
No, see, I have a lot of friends who I know aren't big Jags fans, who are just really big bandwagon fans.
Right.
Like, they're all for the Jags now. Never probably watched a game before this season. So I wouldn't mind seeing them lose, but I don't know. I'm on the fence. I think it could happen.
I don't know. I just don't know if I just don't see Jacksonville represent the AFC.
It's weird. It is weird to see Jacksonville in the playoffs.
As crappy as the AFC South has been, to have 2 of the teams in the Final Four in the AFC is just crazy. And then I have no idea. I guess we're going to pull for the Vikings because I have solidarity with my Vikings family. Nick, cousin Nick, or Rick, or Mick, whatever his name is.
I'm sure Zach Lee will be happy to hear that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of Vikings fans. Aunt Martha, she's a big Vikings fan.
The Vikings are going to blow
Gary.
it. They're gonna lose this Sunday. They always blow it.
I know.
And it's
Gary
awesome.
Anderson. It comes down to a Gary Anderson kick.
He's gonna miss the kick.
Hasn't missed a kick all year. 1998 against the Falcons, then he misses the kick.
It's gonna be
happened a number of times.
It's gonna be like an Ace Ventura moment.
Yes. So there's Martha Morrell Hebert's in the chat talking about her Vikings. All right, so that's enough NFL talk. Let's.
I agree.
Dakota, are you okay? You got a pulse still? Are you alive?
I think so I don't know.
He's barely hanging on to life.
Yep.
So last week we had a
laces out.
Laces out, Dan. Lace it out. Die, Dan.
Oh man,
what was his real name in that movie? Do you know his name?
Oh, it's Finkel, right?
Finkel or Ihorn? Finkel or Ihorn?
Yeah, Finkel is Ihorn.
Ray Finkel.
Is Ihorn.
That's who was the dude? The cop in that movie. He was actually a recording artist. I sound so white right now. He was a recording artist. Harry, tell me about him. I'm sure you know.
I'm sure Harry has something to say. He told us that we were going to have to owe him our racism insurance.
It's due at the end of the show. Anyway, that guy is he's not the thong song, but he had a big song, the Wild Thing. He did the Wild Thing song.
Really?
Yeah, not the second one, not the really Tone Loc. There you go. Yeah, Donnie's got it. It's Tone Loc. You know Tone Loc?
Nope. No idea.
I'm so old. Okay. Anyway, thank you, Donnie, for being old with me. We were trying to pivot, and then I drug us down into the bowels of basement.
Here I am sitting here talking about the new agenda that the GOP released.
So last week in the seat Chase is in, we had Senator Mike Crider, GOP senator to the stars. This week we got Chase, who's here. At least he can give us good NFL background. By the way, right now we're going to stop everything. He also sang "Funky Cold Medina." The Trogs did the first version of.
I know that
Wild
one.
Thing.
I know that song.
Yeah. So anyway, my dad used to do a cover of it back in the 80s too. We need to apologize right now to Darren Jacobs. I accidentally sent him a text message.
This is the funniest story.
On yesterday, and I was doing three things at once, and this is the way life goes, and I am desperately sorry. This is a real public apology because I felt about that tall. I'm looking right into the camera and showing you that I felt like I was half an inch tall. 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I text Darren, and I said, hey, what are you doing? I meant to say tomorrow. I said tonight. I made a mistake. It happened to me. It never happened to you. I made a mistake. I said, what are you doing tonight? Oh, nothing. Just sitting at home. All right. Hey, you want to do the podcast? Yeah. I got nothing going on. 7 o'clock, right? Yeah, please. Okay, perfect. Great. I'll see you then. I sat into the group chat, sent the show notes over. We were great. 6:57, I'm walking into a tasting with a caterer in Greenfield. I get a text from Darren. It was tonight, right? No, man. It's tomorrow. I'm the greatest troll ever, and it turns out it was my fault.
You looked through your messages.
I scrolled back, and I totally speech-to-texted him and said tonight.
You want to know what's so funny about it?
He was at your house.
He was at my house, and I wasn't even here.
I felt so bad. I couldn't fix it, but I felt so bad about it. So, Darren, I do apologize.
Just because he's our token socialist doesn't mean you can treat him like that.
Well, I really was hoping to have his opinion on some of this stuff because, I value his opinion. I disagree with 80% of it, but I do value it. So anyway, I apologize, Darren. So now we can really get into the topics here. So the Senate announced an agenda, Dakota, and
correct.
You've basically in our show prep here, they have introduced bills, or they have certain senators that have carried bills that are going to deal with these topics that they're concerned about.
I mean, I don't know I didn't write it down on the show notes or remember which senators are carrying which bills. I just kind of have it.
Right. So we've got bill numbers here, and we've got the topic that they deal with. So their agenda, what they rolled out with was they want to deal with the drug epidemic. They want to do something with workforce development. They want to do something to fix our schools or to support our schools, which is what they do every year.
Yep.
And then these next two are the ones that are libertarian issues that tweak me a little bit.
Ones.
Civil asset forfeiture, they want to address that, and they want to do something with Sunday sales. So let's take them one by one, Dakota. You're going to have the lead here.
Yeah.
What is Senate Bill 221 dealing with the drug epidemic?
So Senate Bill 221 is mainly dealing with that, with the opioid epidemic. Which is how it's actually labeled in the bill. So we're talking about heroin, prescribed medications, things that we talked about with Mike Crider on the last show, talking about law enforcement. Basically, the biggest deal with this is increasing funding and trying to get more rehabilitation centers set up. Yeah, because that was one of the big things is that. One of the big things with this Senate bill is that people just don't think we have enough here in Indiana. This is also addressing some of the clean needle exchange programs. So in the State of the State address, Governor Holcomb addressed the issue for rehabilitation centers and treatment centers, and right now we only have 18 in the state, and he wants that number to increase to 27. And that's falling right in line with Senate Bill 221.
Right. Basically, he said in the state of the state, which we'll get into, basically is you're going to get somebody within an hour's drive. You're going to be within an hour's drive anywhere. So we'll have achieved the point where, going back to Mike Kreider, you'll be within an hour's drive anywhere in the state of a rehab center or a state park.
Yep.
So congratulations, Hoosiers.
Yeah, and he also wants to, or the Senate bill also wants to address the number of clean needle exchange programs. They want not necessarily more areas, but they want that to be more controlled by local communities. So they want your county officials to be able to make the decision of whether or not we have a clean needle exchange.
Yeah, and right now it's state mandated or state handled.
Correct.
So which turned into a huge political football for the vice president, because there were some counties in Indiana where they really thought they needed a clean needle exchange, and he was many people, and I probably am one of them, thought he was painfully slow in approving it because it was not something that was consistent with his policies.
The whole remember the STD breakout that happened in southern Indiana?
Yeah.
That was kind of put on Pence's shoulders because of his delay in the clean needle exchange program.
He refused to approve it. So one of the things in 221 is this phasing in of the inspect program.
Right. Yeah.
And that I'd heard in the State of the Union as well, where apparently starting in September, they just had a handful of hospitals, and there's a program where basically, I assume the doctors are talking to each other or talking to the state and getting approval before they prescribe any sort of an opioid medicine.
Right.
Which in theory might solve a little bit, but I don't know how you administer that. Apparently they're working. It's working, and it's in the hospital. But I don't know. I don't know enough about it to say if it's a great thing or a bad thing.
I don't think it'll hurt anything.
I mean, that's kind of what Holcomb. I totally forget what inspect stands for.
It's some sort of an acronym.
I'm sure that the first letter is Indiana.
Yeah, probably Indiana narcotic something, whatever. It's an acronym. Acronyms.
But
it could be anything you want.
He basically did point out the successes, but he wants that to increase. So we want less prescription opioids getting into the hands of people who abuse them, and they're going to report that to the state. And it's just like you said, I don't know what they do to monitor that. Like, do the state police, can they see that? Like, monitor the people that are having it versus who's getting thrown in jail, who are they administering Narcan to, things of that nature, I would assume.
Yeah, this goes down the slippery slope, and a lot of the legislators don't want to talk about it yet, but you have doctors that prescribe something legally to somebody, you put them on it for 6 months, they get addicted to it, you take away their prescription, then they go look for something else, and then you end up on heroin.
Right.
Instead of treating it with medical marijuana or a different path, people get, Chase, you hurt your back or you have a surgery of some sort, you get put on a medicine, and then all of a sudden the therapy changes.
Give me that weed.
Yeah. and you end up, we've created this mess, and nobody's above it.
Yeah, it's starting to spiral out of control, and all of the evidence points to whenever medical cannabis has been legalized in other states, those numbers drop way down.
When you think about the stigma,
saving someone's life is more important to me than if someone's going to get the munchies and drive slow on the interstate.
So many people have been hooked on these painkillers, whether it was Brett Favre, an NFL quarterback, or Rush Limbaugh wound up on them and wound up in dealing with issues as well. Yeah,
you hear about it all the time. I just have heard so many stories where it's just just regular people, right? And they'll go in, they've got a bad back, and then all of a sudden they're hooked on painkillers, and then they end up doing heroin or something. Wife leaves them, kids go on. And it's just such a slippery slope, and it can happen to anybody, and it's just horrible.
So we're gonna keep an eye on that bill as it comes through and see if anything comes through on Senate Bill 221. The next one that Dakota's identified for us, or that the Republicans did in their list of the agenda, is a workforce development bill, Senate Bill 50, and it's supposed to deal with on-job training.
These first three are pretty heavy. Whenever you look at, they pretty heavily deal with last year's State of the State address, in which Governor Holcomb put out his 5 pillars of success for Indiana. These first three are the big three that he had last year, and I think that by putting these first three in there, it was kind of a way to say, look, we're actually trying. Like we want to get this done, right? But this improved workforce development, the Senate Bill 50, also kind of goes along with their third point, which is supporting our schools.
So the Senate Bill 50 is going to add a requirement that schools offer computer science courses.
Correct. So
how are we going to do that without broadband to every school, Dakota?
Right. Yeah. That's part of this bill.
Is this include broadband?
This is including Wi-Fi. So this is ensuring that every school has access to high-speed internet. So they're going to have high-speed internet, and they're also going to have to offer computer science, and they're also going to offer some similar to vocational programs. So every student in the state of Indiana should, according to if this ends up passing, have access to computer science classes because if you don't know, the state of Indiana is focusing really hard on trying to get technical jobs and IT jobs within the state because we
have Salesforce and a number of other leading tech companies that are located in Indianapolis.
Yeah, so
we're the Silicon Valley of the Ohio River Valley.
Exactly. So which was also something that the governor addressed in his speech, was talking about the amount of tech jobs that are coming available in the state. And I think that this is kind of reinforcing that we want to be able to attract those employers by having a trained workforce. And being able to do that before kids get out of college, get into college, I think is actually a really good thing. Because I myself went through a vocational program. That's where I decided what I wanted to do with my life. And that was before I went to college and wasted all that money and still didn't know what I wanted to do.
Amen.
And then the third of the trifecta here is a school bill, Senate Bill 189, to deal with school funding and try to increase graduation rates. Are they just throwing more money at the problem?
Essentially, they're gonna throw money into some lower funded schools. So it's not necessarily all schools, but if you don't know, our governor is on the JAG committee, the Jobs for American Graduates. So basically, Holcomb is the chair of JAG, and this kind of deals with that a little bit. So JAG, what they do is they work really closely with and they help out more of like inner city youth, people who are at high risk of dropping out of high school, not obtaining their high school diploma, and making sure that they actually see it through.
Is this like a national organization or just an Indiana organization?
This is a national organization. JAG is Jobs for American Graduates.
Okay.
So
he's leading the nation in this.
I mean, he didn't specifically say that, but if it's a national organization, he said that he's the chair.
Okay.
So I don't know if he's just an Indiana chair, or if he's a national chair. He didn't really specify.
It's like the time when Nick Sarwark visited the state of Indiana, and Aaron Ewert asked him what county he was the chair of, and he said, "No, I'm the chair, like the chair of the nation. I'm the Libertarian Party of America's chairman."
Did Aaron really do that?
Yeah. We went to dinner, and Aaron's the chairman of Morgan County. And he's like, "Hey, how you doing, man?" "Oh, yeah, I'm Nick. How are you doing?" "Oh, yeah, I'm the chair." "Oh, I'm the chair, too, of Morgan County." "What about you?" "The nation." "I'm the king." Yes, you can look up Nick Sarwark. He's running for
nation. You can kiss
mayor
my
of Phoenix. Yes, that's right. He was fun. It was fun. So, and Aaron.
I've never met Nick. I met Arvin Vora.
Yeah,
who I hate.
You can keep him. Yeah.
He was fine at the state convention. He did a good job speaking. I talked to him. He was a nice guy. But man.
Yeah, he's kind of a pain. All right, so two more bills in the GOP agenda that we're trying to look at here. The civil asset forfeiture law, Senate Bill 99. This has been a big issue for libertarians for a long time, talking about how, your things can be impounded just because you get arrested and you don't have any right to trial and things can just disappear. And we know that it's used for impounding, in theory, it's supposed to work. If somebody breaks a drug law, they can take your car and they could sell it and pay for a police department. Or if they find cash that was, drug money, they can take it and it can help pay for the PACE team that patrols I-70. But there's been a balance issue.
This bill is partially because they have there have been multiple police departments across the state, including ours with the PACE team, our sheriff's department.
They had some issues keeping track of the funds.
Yeah, of having funds that are unaccounted for, funds that are going to the wrong places, and this is a state bill that affects our backyard policemen, our police officers, right? And I think it's important to point out that Senate Bill 99, this reform of civil forfeiture laws, does not get rid of civil asset forfeiture. So
it's like a housekeeping bill. It's not truly
right. So in their general description, like of what they put on all these bills, is a general description. So they said that they want a better balance of law enforcement needs and of constitutional rights. So I don't know how you can put law enforcement needs and constitutional rights in the same sentence, especially whenever you're talking about stealing someone's property, because my property should always supersede the needs of a government agency. I mean, that's just how it is. It's my property. You work for me, so you don't get to steal my crap. I mean, that's...
Yeah, the Fourth Amendment, and the way we look at it, it's pretty strong. You're secure.
I mean, that's the Constitution, so, I mean, take that how you want to, but I know Rex Bell said that this bill was going to be dead in the water as soon as it got introduced onto the floor. He doesn't think that it stands a chance.
Really?
Yeah.
But the GOP announced it as one of their...
this is one of their five pillars for their agenda.
At least on the Senate side. We'll have to see. What happens is we have a... How a bill becomes a law, Chase. I'm going to explain it to you.
Okay,
it's like a teledonna moment on the West Wing. So we have a Senate and a House in Indiana.
Yes.
Some states, like Nebraska, have one chamber. So in Indiana, you have to get by the 50 senators, and then they switch. Halfway through the session, they'll switch, and it'll go through. So we had Senator Crider on, then we had Representative Wright on.
Yes.
They're in different chambers. Okay. So something spends half the time in Senator Crider's side and half the time in Representative Wright's side, and they both have to agree to it. And if those sides both agree, then it goes to the governor's desk for signature or veto. So that's how a bill becomes law in Indiana. A lot like the way the U.S. government works, but every state's not the same way. So that's the way we're set up. So if it gets through the Senate, this is their idea. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to pass through the House side. So this is basically one side of the governing body. This is their agenda.
And there are so many committees that things have to go through, and they get reformed and rewritten so many times.
You have to go through 3 readings on each side, and you have to come out of a committee. Committee chairs will hear testimony. Your bill's not necessarily, even if you get out of the Senate, it might not even get assigned to a committee on the House side. It might just die. There's a lot of ways to kill a bill.
There's a committee where bills go to die.
Yeah, I heard that in the speech you sent me.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, so we'll see. We're going to watch that one. I'm optimistic. At least it's an issue that we're hearing people talking about. And I never would have dreamt that civil asset forfeiture 3 or 4 years ago would be something that would even be getting addressed. So maybe it's not perfect, but man, I'm happy
this year.
It's directional.
I mean, that was the big thing that we talked about at our area libertarian convention.
With Sean Rao. He spoke about it.
Liberty Defender Sean Rao, one of our highest listened to episodes of Boss Hog of Liberty.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you can go back in the feed and listen to the episode with Sean, and you can go back and listen to his presentation that he gave to the Libertarian Party of Henry County.
It was all about civil asset forfeiture.
That's exactly right. So there's a lot more on that topic there if you scroll way back down the feed. Probably like episode 6 or 7 in that time frame. It was early.
I mean, and Sean
way before we were polished broadcasters like we are now, Chase.
Sean had famous.
Yeah.
Local celebrities.
Sean had a lot to say about it, and he did a really good job. Sean is just a really smart guy.
Yeah, he's an attorney.
Yeah. I mean, I could just sit and talk to him for hours because I think that he just makes a lot of sense.
Much agreed. All right, so the last issue that we talked about was on the GOP agenda.
Number 1.
So when they assign something, a low number like that, it legitimately means it's their top priority bill.
Yep.
Like the highway bill was 1001 last time.
So what's that say about fighting the drug epidemic?
Or 1002.
Number 221.
If it was like 500,
it means get in line.
That's not good.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was number 1.
It was number 1. That is because that actually came as a recommendation from the Alcohol Code Revision Commission. So, like, this is something that's been looked at in the past by the legislature, not just this one session. And then there's all that talk. Us libertarians across the state, Rex Bell did a great job of it during his 2016 campaign, but we have been fighting really hard during 2017 to try to make this happen. I don't know if anybody remembers, but the hashtag LPIN drink-ins that we held at Rickers, which kind of dealt with a separate issue, but it still raised awareness for it.
Dealing with alcohol sales, whether it's cold beer or carry-out sales or Sunday sales. Rickers was cold carry-out on a Sunday, which is like the trifecta.
Yeah.
This is half of it. Senate Bill 1 deals only with allowing Sunday sales.
There's been no recommendation. As a matter of fact, the commission decided to not recommend for cold carryouts.
So the bill as it's written right now, it got out of the committee. I think they voted. I don't remember how many guys were on there. It was unanimous. I don't know if it was 15-0 or how many people actually have a vote. But the bill that came through, they're going to allow Sunday sales from noon to 8 o'clock, Chase.
Yep.
So it's kind of allowed.
It's getting there.
Which is very, I mean, that is super common, though, across the United States.
But why? Why do we have to take these half measures all the time?
You know how confusing it was when I would come back from Florida and I couldn't buy alcohol on a Sunday and it wasn't cold in gas stations?
I mean,
I didn't know what was going on.
Because you, as an adult, you've always been, as a beer drinking person, you've always been in Florida, and that's what you're used to.
Basically.
Now. Yeah.
No, Chase doesn't drink beer. He doesn't drink alcohol.
No.
Let's get that straight right now.
No. That's apple juice.
I've never seen
I love apples.
Yes. But yeah, this is a big issue. I'm really excited to see this happening.
It's I'm really excited that it's moving forward. It's another win. Whether or not libertarians win elections, I think it's big for our issues in our platform. And both the civil asset forfeiture and the alcohol sales are policies that our candidates have talked about, and the public is on the side of these issues. It's taken decades for the government to finally catch up to them.
We've talked about it so many times on this show that even if your candidate doesn't get elected, if you vote a third party, then don't think that it was all for nothing. It's just like I talked about the Zach Lee race with Mr. Representative Tom Saunders for District 54. Zach Lee got 27% in that race. So that sends a huge message to Mr. Saunders in the State House saying, you know what, my constituents obviously are fired up enough about these issues to vote for a third-party candidate. I need to start listening. And so that's one of the things that's always been kind of my soapbox to harp on is, you're not wasting a vote, even if your candidate didn't get elected. And I think that these very last two out of 5 of the bullet points for the Senate GOP's new agenda are issues that are directly related to what we've been talking about.
Someday they'll let them sell cars on Sundays, too.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't agree with that. You shouldn't be allowed to sell a car.
Yeah. We need a day off.
That's ridiculous.
If you don't want to have your dealership open on Sunday, then don't open it on Sunday.
Jeremiah.
Keep it holy.
You had that. So we pulled a little bit of text.
It was Mark Schlotterbeck. He was my youth pastor growing up.
We pulled a little bit of text out of a Fox 59 article that Dakota shared, and it was shared by a bunch of people. It got a lot of traction yesterday. But there's a coalition against underage drinking who has to weigh in because they raise money on these things and they exist, so they have to turn this into something.
Group.
Yeah, they're a lobbying group, and they said, well, okay, if you're going to allow this, then damn it, we need to institute rules. So they're already out there. They've gotten through the first reading. Mm-hmm. It's not law yet, so they want to force the teller at the liquor store to go through more training to be able to spot a fake ID.
McLovin.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, it's Hawaii. It's fine. It says McLovin. Oh, of course. Chicka. Yeah. So then you have to watch Superbad if you don't know what we're talking about. But no kids.
I probably don't watch Superbad. It's really not that good.
It is a phenomenal movie.
Really good
take
movie.
That back.
It's a classic.
It is a Seth Rogen, Bill Hader. It's an amazing movie. You take that back right now.
Probably not going to.
Chase and I are going to go watch Superbad after this is over.
He didn't watch Star Wars with us, so
I know.
Might as well.
Chase and I have movie night in the NFL. Dakota, we're cutting you out.
That's all right.
Before Dakota ruined it with the...
I have a wife now.
Well, she might watch Superbad with us.
She might. I don't know.
There's nothing like Michael Cera singing "These Eyes" in front of a bunch of guys smoking.
So I do like Michael Cera in that movie.
Yeah, and Jonah Hill.
I don't think I've ever seen a movie or a TV show with Michael Cera that hasn't been great.
Arrested Development.
He's just so awkward.
Juno is bad. I don't like Juno.
I like Juno.
No, you're
I didn't like Juno.
Really?
Brittany Spicer's not a fan of Superbad either.
So that probably had something to do with it. I should probably rewatch it.
So, okay, the other side of this this group was trying to cram in is they're trying to add a tax. They just want to randomly add a tax to alcohol because they can.
They want to tax the already legal people because apparently if you charge more money for something, that's going to... I'm not going to buy alcohol for my sister. Whenever she asks me, she's like, hey, can you buy me a beer? And she asked me that right now. Okay, yeah, sure. But in 8 months, whenever there's a 30-cent tax on it, oh, no, I'm not buying you a beer.
How dare you? You're going to have to come up with more money.
Yeah.
The entire Superbad movie is about youth buying alcohol, by the way. I mean, this is the movie is entirely based upon this.
So funny,
Hollywood should be ashamed of itself. How dare they?
I mean, I say that we just go full bore, allow all alcohol any day of the week, all the time.
To anybody over 18.
To give it to anybody over the age of 3.
No taxes.
Over the age of 3. I say your 4-year-old ought to be able to drink some whiskey to help soothe its toothaches.
And to put her to sleep.
All Dakota's saying is it should be the parents' choice.
Yeah, I'm just saying, have some personal responsibility and don't make the government make these rules for you.
Senator Frank Mrvan, this is not one of the Republican ones, but I read this morning that Senator Mrvan and another, I think a co-sponsor on the House side, introduced one to change the age of consent from 16 to 18 in Indiana as well.
Really?
Yeah. Thank God you're married. Yeah. So, there you go. Yeah. So if you're 22 right now, you can legally, 16 is okay. But
right.
Not if they get their way.
Okay. So we kind of spiraled into this subject, but I kind of have to bring it up because it's one of my favorite Dave Chappelle skits. And it's back whenever, who's the famous guy that got caught peeing on a 15-year-old girl?
Oh, man.
You know
That's
who
right
I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I don't have, I have
Was
no
it
idea.
the rapper?
Yeah, he's a rapper.
Oh, man.
He got caught.
Nelly for 100, Alex.
No, it wasn't Nelly. Started with an F, I think. But
No.
He was caught peeing on
R. Kelly.
R. Kelly.
Donnie Morrell says R. Kelly.
No, it was R. Kelly. Donnie is right. So R. Kelly was caught peeing.
It's not bad for a grandpa.
No, he was caught peeing on a 15-year-old girl. Dave Chappelle kind of made it into one of his comedy acts, and he's like, one of the things that we need to make up our minds with as Americans is how old is 15 really? And he said because whenever I was a kid, he was like, this is Dave Chappelle talking, not Dakota Davis. And he said, he was like, whenever I was 15 years old, I was hanging out with my friends, I was trying to pick up chicks, and I was smoking weed while my friend was dealing crack. And he said, as a 15-year-old, you know whether or not you want someone to pee on your face. You're able to make that conscious decision. I mean, that kind of makes sense to me. I mean, I feel like, especially if our sex education would ever catch up to the rest of the world, then a 16-year-old would be able to make a decision of whether or not they should or should not have sex. Seems like a no-brainer.
I think that really a state senator should make that decision for them.
Oh, you think so?
Parents
you know
can't. Parents and the individuals can't make that decision. We need a senator in Indianapolis to make that for them.
I think you're right. For the entire state.
So,
Donnie Morrell says that we went off the tracks. We are talking about what is in the General Assembly right now. We haven't even talked about the
while
Colts
we're off
bill.
the tracks, what are those? Those cans
those
up
are
there?
Beats up there.
Those are Beats
Beats by
headphones.
Dre?
Yeah,
Beats
I
headphones.
like it.
Cans of Beats with a B. If you look at most every picture in front of our or the background of almost every picture we've taken.
That's one of the things that burns Jeremiah's butt.
I'm not a big fan of those.
There's a picture.
I think they look ridiculous.
I really like it. I've never noticed it before.
They're low quality. They're inferior.
I think they're hilarious.
They work. They really do work.
My God, we are so far off track.
Yeah.
Thank God that we have already gone to the next topic of the state of the state.
Yeah, so the governor gave his speech on Tuesday, Governor Holcomb, who I honestly, 85% of what the governor says, I'm pretty happy with.
I thought it was a good speech.
I told Clay today that I like him about 80% of the time. So I think we're
80 to 85%.
Page.
I'm there. Of course, he wants to, he wants to enforce a lot of things with guys with guns and put cops in harm's way, but... we can agree to disagree.
That's pretty much the norm. That's the government.
That's pretty much all of them, yeah. So anyway, yeah, he highlights of his speech, about a half an hour speech. I listened to it. If you guys are not subscribed to Abdul Hakim Shabazz, look it up on SoundCloud, indiepolitics.org. He has great pieces of content.
So I have a funny story about the state of the state.
Yeah, well, anyway, so you look at Abdul, and he has these, he'll have legislators outside of a committee. He's got the whole uncut version of the State of the State. So anyway, Dakota, go ahead.
So I was looking for the State of the State address on C-SPAN. That's where I was going to watch it. That's where I watched it last year live on television as he gave the speech.
The State of the State.
Yeah, the State of the State address on C-SPAN. Yeah. And so I was looking.
I don't even do that.
Nerd. Hey, I stayed up and I watched every single one of the gubernatorial debates with Rex Bell in it last year.
If we were better friends, I would have invited you.
Yeah. I wish you would have.
Maybe next time.
Maybe.
All right. Hey, when you run for governor in 4 years, I'll be your guy. I'll be your campaign manager.
I'll waste my vote on you.
I've already lost one election.
So I watched it on C-SPAN last year. I figured I'm just going to go to the website, and that's where I'll type it in this year. I'll be able to find it. And looked it up. Came up. Eric Holcomb gives State of the State address. Click on it. Started watching it. I get about 15 minutes of the way through, and I'm thinking, my God, this dude is just using the exact same talking points as last year.
You watched the replay.
I did. I got 15 to 20 minutes through, and then they finally showed a little time bar, timestamp at the top, and it was January 17th, 2017, and I was like, oh my God. I can't believe that I just did that.
You watched the wrong darn one.
Yeah, it was hilarious. So then I went to the Indy Stars website, and I tried to watch it on there. They said they had the full transcript, and they also said that they had the video of it. As I started playing it, our regular viewers of this show will know what it sounds like whenever our iRig is acting up in the phone. You can just hear a bunch of crackling and popping. Can't really hear much anything else. And that's exactly what the sound was for the entire State of the State address on the Indy Stars website. So I just ended up reading through the entire transcript.
You know, we have the common decency to stop what we're doing and reset it. Somebody should have gone up, said, Mr. Governor, you need to stop. We have to reset our iRig. We're going to start over.
Basically, we're better than the Indy Star.
We are more professional than the Indy Star.
That's what I thought.
We're not owned by Gannett. That's why. We're better. We're better than they are. So, okay, the governor said Indiana's got a AAA credit rating, which has literally been the case since 2004, since Mitch Daniels took over. They've got $2 billion in the bank.
But we need to keep raising taxes.
Yeah, they do need to keep raising taxes, apparently. Yeah.
We have so much money. We have an abundance of money in the state, but we need more.
Yeah.
Therefore, you have to pay us more.
Yeah. Well, it's all a matter of how much they want to tax us. We want to start at zero. Let's start the negotiation at zero, and somehow they end up with $2 billion extra. Indiana's ranked best in the Midwest and the top 5 state in the nation for doing business. This is the standard pitch, but it is true. Indiana, legitimately, even the Democrats that are in the House are like, "Yep, we're pretty good at this."
Yep.
We're number 2 in the nation for the cost of doing business, and number 2 in the nation for the lowest cost of living. It is weird though. You go to Chicago, and those businesses are thriving. Yeah. In an absolute liberal abyss. We were up there and we saw they have this stupid, talking about taxes, they've got this stupid tax. I took a picture and posted, and I think it probably got shared 15 times last weekend.
We actually had to pay for our bag at Gus's world famous fried chicken.
If you get a bag, any sort of carryout bag, it's 7 cents.
Yep.
It doesn't go to the store, it goes to the government.
Yeah.
Just trying to keep bags out of the world.
They want you to bring your own bag, basically.
Right. It's about it's environmental is the reasoning. I can see it if it went to the store.
If a store wants to have the policy and say, hey, if you want a bag, we're going to charge you a dime like Aldi does or a nickel, that's fine. You're cutting costs out. But you're not doing that. You're not incentivizing the store. And at least, look, we talked last week with Senator Kreider, and I don't know that I necessarily agree with special treatment and the way that they're trying to deal with the farm fields and corn crops or whatever and visibility. I understand that what they're trying to do, but at least they're trying to incentivize instead of penalize.
Yep.
What they did in Chicago is they just say, screw you, customer, and screw you, business owner. If you give them a bag, we're going to charge you 7 cents. You want to at least give the store, if you're going to do something, encourage your stores to charge extra money for it.
I'd like plastic, please.
Yeah. Honestly, Sarah and I were leaving Sunday morning, we went to Macy's, this 8-story tall Macy's in downtown Chicago on Michigan Avenue, the Magic Mile, or Magnificent Mile. Magic Mile is Dover, Delaware racetrack. Correct. Mark Martin is the king at Dover. Anyway, or he was before retirement. We're 8 floors up in this store, right?
Yep.
Giant store. We buy a set of twin sheets. we want to save our 7 cents, so we don't say yes to the bag. Now we have to walk through an entire department store.
Did you have to drive up to Chicago to buy twin sheets?
But they were an excellent deal. we were killing time. We wanted to see the store, and it's a big place. It's a cool place to go. And like, hey, those are actually on sale. We can use those. We'll bring them, buy them, and whatever. So, but we're on the 8th floor of the store, so you pay at in your department. It's a department store like a JCPenney or it's a Macy's. So you pay there, and you walk across the store to the elevator, down, and then we walk the entire length of the store to get out. I'm thinking their loss prevention people have got to hate this, because we've paid and they can't see it. Like she's got a receipt. This is the stupidest thing ever. It looks like you're stealing. That's like the little check. It's in the store's incentive to give you a bag to put it in so that they know, yep, you paid.
No one tackled you?
No, I was really surprised. I look pretty intimidating, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, the guys, it's got to really screw over the stores to the point where I'd be like, hey, the hell with it. We're going to give everybody a bag and we're just going to pay the 7 cents and build it into our cost. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
I would just give it to everybody.
And
then the state would probably just come back, or the city would come back and just sue you.
Well, and then whenever
or
people started complaining about the minimum wage, you could say, listen, we already got to pay for all these bags.
Yeah.
Like it's just added business costs, and I don't agree with it. I do, however, agree. I agree with all of what Mike Kreider said about about making the cornfield safer.
To an extent.
I agree with that.
To an extent, but administering it is going to be a big burden on the counties, on the assessors to deal with it.
Right.
And
I just think the way that he's going about it is a good idea. I think that how
I like the theory, but I guess I have to be convinced of it because I think there's always a law of unintended consequences. And when you start legislating like that, first of all, I disagree with property tax being in existence at all. So we'll start there.
Right. Yeah.
But the more carve outs you do and complications you create, the more difficult it gets. And
but I've always felt so unsafe driving on the roads around here that the cornfields.
Yeah, June, July, August, September, you've got corn that's 7 or 8 feet tall. It's a legitimate thing. I understand that. But people like Cade, who is here, say, hey, we just cut that down on our own. You don't have to have a government program to do that. But either way, that's a smaller issue. It's a housekeeping thing, and I'm glad they're trying to address it. But I'm not sure. I'm not completely convinced. But I would much rather we have policy that's set that way than the way they did it in Chicago.
Absolutely.
That's the difference between Indiana and Chicago.
The big thing right here, last year, because I watched the 2017 State of the State a second time. Yes, Governor Holcomb did set a goal last year for adding 30,000 new jobs to the state of Indiana. He was happy to report that we did achieve that goal. There were 300 new businesses come to the state of Indiana or sign contracts for future movement, and 30,000 jobs were brought to the state. And he is calling upon the Economic Development Corporation for the state of Indiana to set a goal of 35,000 for 2018. But he also, on the flip side of that, said that there were 85,000 jobs in the state of Indiana that are unfilled that employers have said is due to a lack of qualifications.
Yeah, we have a lot of specialized. It's not Indiana in 2018 is much different than Indiana was in 1978,
right?
Where you graduate from high school in one of the 3 high schools in Anderson and you go work at one of the GM factories.
Exactly.
Now you have to have specialized training to go work in Warsaw for a medical device manufacturer. Mm-hmm. It's the jobs are there, but it's different. And that's one of the things that,
and I think that's what
central planners are trying to deal with.
Well, and I think that's the big thing with this Senate Bill number 50, where we talked about improving workforce development with this computer science and the job training programs, is trying to get it to the point where an 18-year-old can come out of high school and say, look, I've been trained in this, and get a job at a factory, because through the collaboration between these private companies and the government, which, I know we don't like to say that very much. It's kind of taboo subject within libertarian spheres. But with this collaboration with the government showing the business owners, these factory owners, like, this is what we're going to be training these students in. And they'll say, yeah, if you train them on this, then absolutely we'll take them without a college degree. I think that's a step in the right direction, absolutely. I think that anything that we can do to eliminate costs for citizens and get people into better jobs is a step in the right direction.
If we're going to be forced to pay for a public education, then it ought
to do its job.
It ought to be to the point where you can actually get a job when you get out.
And there's a ton of those jobs popping up, too.
Certainly. Unemployment is at 3%, 3.5%.
Yeah.
we are doing very well as a state. If you need a job, you're going to get a job. Yeah, it's out there.
Yeah, we're doing great.
All right, so
skip over that JAG thing.
Yeah, we talked about the JAG. So the governor reported that there's 28% increase in tech jobs since 2015.
Yeah,
the tallest building in Indianapolis is the old Chase Tower. That's now the Salesforce Tower, which is a big tech company out of San Francisco.
He is trying to get us to offer a sales tax exempt status for all software developers. The thing I put on here. He says that he wants it to make us more competitive as a state, right? He wants the state to be more competitive. But he also said that 29 other states have already done this, and he thinks that we should follow their lead, follow their example. So I put on the show notes, is that ironic? Because 29 states have also
medical
legalized
marijuana.
Marijuana.
That's pretty fast for Indiana, though.
So in Indiana, we have a sales tax on goods. We don't have one on services. So basically what they're trying to do is they're trying to say, software as a service, and we won't tax it.
Yeah.
Which is competitively good. We also used to have a competitive advantage where we didn't charge sales tax on internet transactions, and now we do. We're trying to have it both ways. A couple more things. In my industry, the road construction, I-69 Section 5 will open in August, a couple of years late, but damn it, it's almost finally done. So you will actually be able to drive from Indianapolis all the way on 4-lane roads to Evansville, Indiana.
Yay!
A few stoplights there in what will be Section 6 of I-69 between Martinsville and Indianapolis, but darn it, that's a whole lot better than it was.
And this point, I would like to point out a difference between last year and this year's speech whenever we're talking about road funding. Last year in his speech, he was talking about the lack of road funds, right? That was his big point. He wasn't talking about like the goals that we had set, the things that we want to do. He never talked about any of that in the speech last year. But this year, during his State of the State address, Governor Holcomb said that we have all these goals set. They're already paid for. We know why he's making that point. Is because of the gas tax.
That's correct.
The additional gas tax for the state of Indiana.
The gas tax and user fees that were passed in the 2017 General Assembly.
And last year he said that and I'm paraphrasing here, but he said, there are a multitude of different ways that we could fund these. We could go toll roads or taxes. And it's obviously we went taxes, but as Mike Kreider said last week, we're looking at toll roads too. Yeah. So it's not much of an or there.
It's being studied.
We'll see. But if all of these miles of pavement and all these bridges are paid for the next 5 years, I don't understand. And we have $2 billion in our savings account with a AAA credit rating. I don't understand why we would need a toll road.
Well, you could spend the $2 billion that you have, but as soon as you have an economic downturn, that's what they do need to have some of that money to be able to pay the bills.
I mean, I understand that.
You can't run an absolute empty paycheck because they did that in 2002. But I-70, I-65 need to be 3-lane highways in the state.
I agree with that.
I mean, that absolutely has to happen just for safety.
He did bring that up.
At some point. Coast to coast in the state of Indiana, 69 and 70 need to be 3 lanes.
Yep.
There's way too much truck traffic, and it's got to happen at some point. And I hope they do find a way, whether that's tolling or prioritization or what it's going to be. But it's got to happen.
There is nothing worse than being on 70 and a semi-truck starts to pass another semi-truck going exactly 0.73 miles per hour.
Yeah, you got one doing 63 and one doing 63
Especially when there's like 2 in front of them, too. It's so much worse.
It's dangerous. It backs up all the traffic, and you need 2 truck travel lanes and then a passenger lane.
Absolutely.
That's what we need to have. And you drive through Ohio, I-70's got it all the way across the state. You drive through, we took the road trip to Tennessee. I-65 is a 6-lane highway, 3 northbound, 3 southbound through the entire state, and we never had any traffic.
It was wonderful.
It flows nicely. Tennessee's the same way. At some point, Indiana's got to make it happen. We're the crossroads of America, and our roads have to act like it. And we can talk about how you're going to pay for it. Somebody's got to pay for it. I'm fine if it's user fees. Opioid epidemic, we talked about that a little bit, but they are going from 18 to 27 treatment centers. The governor mentioned that. And then he talked a little bit about the Healthy Indiana plan. There's almost 500,000 people, 400,000 Hoosiers on Healthy Indiana. I think there's about 7 million people, 6 or 7 million people live in the state. So 400,000 of them are on the government
That's really
government
not
insurance.
That much, though. I mean, whenever you think about it.
Yeah, well, okay. Let's do a poll around the room here. I'm on my employer's health care. Are you on your employer's health care?
Correct.
Chase, do you have health care?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Employers.
There you go.
Pay for it myself.
So
I'm an adult.
Look at that.
Sort of.
High five. Woo-hoo! All right. So, but yeah, that's the thing. Is so we all have that plan, but you've got 400,000 people that are on the government plan.
Yep. But he said that he wants to address that and get less people off of there, and he also wants to try to help those people find better jobs. He never really specified in his speech how he was going to do that or what his plan was, but
just set the goal.
Yep.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the State of the State. We're about at that time, believe it or not. For not having a guest, man, we had a lot to say tonight.
We did. We really packed it in.
We did. We did all right. Chase, you got any final thoughts for us?
Yes. Vote Oprah for president 2020. I'm just kidding. But that's about it. Thanks for having me on again.
Of course. You are a co-host, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is not like
do you have any advice on what to do when you get stopped at Walmart and people recognize you, and does it take a toll on your family? Or
no, I've only been stopped at Rural King one time.
It happens a lot. You just have to treat people the way when you got starstruck back in the day. You have to treat them that way. You know, let them know that you're a regular person. It's going to be okay. You are a little bit of a local celebrity now, but they'll eventually, as long as your family still treats you the same way, behave like a mature
They're
person
hitting
in
me
public.
Up for money.
I don't do that.
I don't even get paid. I don't get paid for this.
None of us get paid. None of us get paid. So, Chase, thank you for following us, man, or being here. How do we follow you on Twitter? Are you on the tweet box?
I haven't got on there yet. I'm going to start one soon. Really, just don't follow me. I don't post anything on Facebook. I don't really do anything on Snapchat. I'll just lurk on your profiles. That's about it.
Chase is a lurker.
I am. But
a lurker and a lurker. Okay. By the way, Chase wore his plaid shirt today. I wore my plaid shirt. Dakota wore the 3/4 zip.
What a weirdo.
Or the 1/4 zip. Is it 1/4 or 3/4? I never know.
That's a 1/4.
A 1/4 Adidas.
This is like my favorite long sleeve shirt.
Yeah.
What do you have against it, Jerry?
Nothing. I'm just saying we have a uniform around here.
I think you look very pretty.
Thanks, Chase. I really appreciate that.
Dakota, you got any final thoughts for us?
So final thoughts I have we are still going on in Newcastle about the Henry County Doughboy statue.
Oh.
It's the Doughboy issue of 2018 that has been carried over from 2017. That was talked about in the first quarter of 2017.
There was a prohibition party.
Yeah.
And there's something called an inanimate object party. I think Henry County is going to have the first regional party that's the Doughboy party.
Yep.
We have the pro move the statue and the anti move the statue party.
Oh my gosh.
The 2016 election was about the wind, and 2018 may in fact be about the Doughboy monument.
For the people who support not moving the Doughboy, if you want to give me a shirt, I will wear it next time I'm on this podcast. I'll rep it for you guys.
They had bracelets at the last Memorial Park Board meeting that said "Save Our Doughboy 2017."
I mean, I think they should move it, but I just want a shirt.
You think they should move it? Oh, I don't know. I think that by the rules set forth by the anti-movement committee, I don't think that we can be friends anymore.
I still don't know where it was originally at.
I have talked to 3 people who thought that the Doughboy statue was, in fact, the Civil War monument that sits on the Newcastle courthouse lawn. That is not the case. There's just so much that I could go into with this issue. I just wanted to bring it up again because I think it's hilarious.
Maybe we should take a poll.
Yeah, we should take a poll. I'm also, dear citizens of Henry County, I am fighting diligently for your right to post GIFs and memes in the Citizens of Henry County Facebook group. Support me in that cause. I need it.
You are on the verge of getting banned.
I think I'm close.
You might get thrown out, and then I don't know what you're going to do for entertainment.
I don't either. I'm going to have to talk to Chad.
Is that a new button?
Yeah, this is. Yeah. So this is the boss button. This is my grandfather had a collection of buttons, and my father gave this to me for Christmas. And it's the boss is here. It was a soda back in the day, 32 ounces for only 69 cents, which is ironically funny. And So, so my dad's like, this has got to go on your microphone. So, we got the boss button on here for the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast.
I made a mount for it, too.
You did. You fashioned a mount for me out of a paper clip.
It works very nicely. You can take it off and on whenever you want to.
It's we're big time around here now.
Yep.
So, that's the Paul Nichols Morrell boss button.
Yep. Follow me at AtoCatSavant on Twitter or Dakota Davis on Facebook. It's me standing in Morty's Comedy Joint.
That's right. My profile picture is also me down there at Morty's Comedy Joint. And
we're going to be there February 10th.
We are. We're going to go see Bert Kreischer, the Machine. He's going to be Friday and Saturday that weekend. This is not paid. But, man, we love Bowers and Morty's Comedy Club. Have a lot of fun there. Like I said, that's where Sarah and I were paying place for the first time.
I've been following Bert for a long time, ever since I first saw that Machine video.
Yeah.
And, like, seen all of his appearances on local news channels and stuff where he's just, like, ripped his shirt off.
In front of the weather girl.
Yeah, in front of the weather girl. Gosh, that stuff is so funny. I'm really excited to go see that show.
So we're going to go to the last showing in Indianapolis on the 10th, the Saturday. We're going to go to the late show and probably hang out after. So if you want to meet up with the Boss Hog Liberty crew, we're going to be at that Bert Kreischer deal. We're real people. We paid the $30 general admission. Get your tickets now, and we'll.
Wait, you're saying they didn't give us free tickets?
No, we got to pay.
Hook us up.
You got real pay. You got to. This is the big time. It's a special event.
I know.
It's a special event.
I bought a boom mic for our iPhone, and I still haven't got to use it yet.
Maybe the next Memorial Park board meeting.
That's supposed to be January 15th.
There you go. Next Monday night. All right, couple things for me. Final thoughts. Henry County 4-H, if you're not a member yet, sign up now. Contact Purdue Extension, any of your local counties, but if you're in Henry County, 765-529-5002. Talk to Kelsey. Mention Boss Hog of Liberty. She'll give you a discount. That's not true, but join anyway. But you do want to talk to Kelsey. She'll get you hooked up. But 4-H, great program for anybody third grade through the end of high school. If you got kids involved, you know what it's all about. And if you don't, you should. I'm a product of 4-H. Dakota's wife is a product of 4-H.
Nerd.
Dakota skipped out on it, but whatever. It's all good. We're going to make him a leader before it's all over. My one protest is, my final thought is anti-Facebook. Facebook, you've ruined us. The YouTube feed does not have video because magically Facebook has decided that we can no longer download the videos. The Facebook Lives. So if you, not just our podcast, but any podcast that uses this method,
trying to figure
Facebook
it out.
has hosed us and we can't save the videos. So
all of the software and stuff that I've seen so far have just looked like it's been from really sketchy websites, and I don't want to risk downloading it.
Yeah, you should do that. Do that on Audrey's school computer.
Yeah, I assume that. I assume that eventually someone's going to come out with an article on how to do it.
Yeah, there's going to be a workaround. It's just going to. So the YouTube, we may be a week or 2 or 3 behind trying to figure out how to get the videos, but they're still saved. They're on Facebook. We'll get them eventually. But if you obviously, if you're listening to this now, you're not watching on the YouTube. If you are, we figured it out. But if you've got your friends saying, "Hey, I normally watch Boss Hog Liberty on the YouTube," or listen to it that way, we're still on the podcast. So you can use your podcatcher app, your iTunes account. We are on Stitcher. We are on TuneIn Radio. If you listen to the We're Libertarians feed, we're in there on SoundCloud, obviously, and then of course Saturdays and Sundays we are on Indiana Talk. So there's tons of ways to consume us, whether it's on YouTube or not. And then you can always catch the live feeds on Facebook Live. We appreciate you listening. We're going to be joined next week by Andy Horning, U.S. Senate candidate, Republican U.S. Senate candidate. Andy Horning will be on the show next week. We're looking forward to that, and you probably can see Dakota working the camera next Monday night for the Doughboy Part 3, Henry County Memorial Park. We'll see y'all next time.
Thank you for listening to the We're Libertarians Network. Get our other shows at We'reLibertarians.com.